Well, look, joining me here now for a brief word is the Prime Minister of our country, Christopher Luxon. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Can I just say what a good-looking man you are? It's like looking in a mirror. You know, like it's literally, if I got those glasses, I reckon we could do a job swap. You could go run my cabinet. I'll do this for a day.
That's the third time you've made that offer.
I know.
Are you telling me that you're done?
No, I'm just ready for an April Fool's joke on my cabinet. I think it'd be quite good to send someone like you in. I think it'd be great for them.
Let's see if we can manage it. Look, hey, speaking of which, no cabinet meeting today?
We do have cabinet today, yes.
Okay. Are we going to hear something on the first home buyers?
We'll have to wait and see. Yep. We don't talk about what we discussed in cabinet, but it's hopefully we'll have something to say shortly.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You'll be no doubt celebrating some good news around the crime figures that have dropped down, and also the extra police that you're putting out there as well. Do you think, is there a connection between the two?
Yeah, look, we're making some good progress. We've got a completely different approach, and we're seeing some encouraging results. We've had a doubling of police out on the beat. That's giving our retailers and our public a lot more confidence. In a place like Auckland CBD, you might remember a year or two ago, it was a challenging place for people to come into. We've seen 29,000 fewer victims of serious violent crime. A lot of that's given on the back of our hard work on gangs. We're seeing a 13% reduction in serious young offending, 82% reduction in ram rates.
No fix though for sexual violence. I mean, that's still a problem area, right? And I guess if you're just getting beat on the police on the street, maybe you're losing.
That's why I'm saying to you, it's actually a really broad effort across a number of fronts that we're going after. Within violent crime, sexual violence is what falls within that category. So while the total numbers are trending down, you're right, there's been a slight uptick in sexual violence, which is not okay. And we obviously have some more work to do there. But we also have things like our stalking legislation coming into law this week, I think, or last week. So we've got some really good things coming in that area. But all I'm just signalling is, there's no victim of serious crime is what we want to see ultimately, but we're making some good progress and the trend has been good, and I think that's been the combined effort of a government that wants to be restoring law and order and a police that feels backed up to go after gangs for serious violent crime, make sure we send a message to our young people in the right way, tougher sentencing. It's the combination of all of that coming together. I mean, the police have done a great job. I mean, even if you look at, we've got 40% less alcohol-related deaths on our roads because they've seriously step-changed their road policing efforts as well. So, we've got a lot more to do, but we're making some good progress there.
I want to ask you about the Reserve Bank and the sudden disappearance of its chair, Neil Quigley. Friday afternoon, he announces his resignation. Finance Minister says, it's so that he can, he's done the work that he's needed to do, but then tells people, actually, no, I would have asked for his resignation if he hadn't provided it. What did you, maybe if we can just explain, when did you know, for example, that the Governor of the Reserve Bank, Adrian Orr, was no longer actually the Governor, that he'd sort of left the office?
Look, I can't remember the precise timings. All I'm aware of is that there was obviously an issue between the board and the Governor. There was obviously, that was an employment issue that gets managed by an independent Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Board appoints a Governor and manages that relationship really well. As you heard from the Finance Minister.
Didn't sound like they were managing.
No, that's the point. As you heard over recent weeks, as more information came to light, the Finance Minister was increasingly and quite rightly and quite appropriately unhappy about how things were handled.
So when was she telling you about this?
Well, I mean, I've been aware that there has been, an employment issue there, and I was aware, as you see in the media reporting, as well as everybody saw, as information dripped out, that we didn't think the chair or the board had handled that perfectly or a bit suboptimally. And then I think the chair made the right decision on Friday to step down after 15 years. I think it was entirely appropriate.
He's going to head off to resume his duties as the Vice-Chancellor at Waikato University.
Yeah,
Are you comfortable that he's doing a good job there?
Absolutely.
You don't have any direct role there.
Absolutely. I mean, Waikato University is doing very well. But with respect to the handling of this particular issue, it became obvious through a number of information that came out over that period of time that it was, we were unhappy about it. It was quite suboptimal in terms of a process. I think it's the right thing. But I just say to you, we've got a very strong and experienced management team at the bank. We've got a very strong and experienced governance and board team at the bank, and they will be able to continue to discharge their duties independently as they should.
I just want to ask you about your fast-track legislation, because we heard last week about the grocery changes that are coming there. It feels like that's a very, very small piece of trying to refine competition in this country by making it easier for supermarkets to build when, as we know, hardly any took any interest in that request for information process?
Yeah, actually, well, the fast track's actually working quite well. There's some more tweaks that inevitably will make to it.
It's not working well for Port of Tauranga.
Oh, well, that's a particular case that we will fix that. But I'd just say,
how quickly do you think you'll fix it? Because that's a drafting error.
We can fix that pretty quickly. But the bigger issue is you look at the ports of Auckland. They got an extension, $200 million extension through for their wharves in the space of 6 months. That would normally take 5 years under the form of the RMA.
That's the one win that you've had under the sun.
Sure, but there's a lot more coming through. Between now and Christmas, as we've said publicly, we think there'll be another 8 or so that could come through in that period of time.
Will they need fixing though? Will you need to sort of amend any legislation?
No. But there are things that we can do to make. We want that fast track process to work really seamlessly, and as we get more experience with it, if there's tweaks that we need to make, we'll pragmatically make those. On the supermarket front, making the supermarkets a regional or national project of significance is important, so they can use the fast track legislation. But the bigger piece and more complex work was actually dealing with the Building Act, so they can actually get multi-proof approval. So as Costco rolls its formats out around the country, that actually it's already pre-approved essentially, or auto-approved. And then likewise the fact they deal with one building code authority, so they don't get multiple interpretations in Christchurch or Auckland as to how the building code's interpreted. So I think there's some really good things there. We've done everything we can to make the regulatory environment as easy as possible for then businesses to make a decision as to whether they come in or not.